Yeah, so good morning to everybody. First of all, thank you for coming over and sort of spending some time with us where we could share Dell's strategy around data protection. So when we talk about backup to business, what we basically mean is when you look at backup and recovery as a function within organization, it is considered to be a sort of operating in a silo. From a Dell perspective, our approach is that backup and recovery as a process or as a function of IT should be managed or should be mapped to the business requirements that an organization has. This study was done by Forrester, and it was done very recently, where they sort of discussed disaster recovery readiness with CIOs across US and Europe. So there are two critical takeaways from this study. One, if you see the most important reason of a disaster happening in a data center is still operational failures, like the power going out or a hardware failure, are still very operational in nature. And the second most important thing is 1 in 3 customers, that is basically 33% of customers, actually declared a disaster, which means when a disaster happened in their organization, they could not recover the data back. And this is very critical, because if you look at today's organization's biggest asset is information and data. Basically, data is a new currency for any organization to be successful and competitive. And if you're losing data, that means it could severely impact your business or organization's business with their customers. And as part of that study, we sort of asked the CIOs what are their top IT priorities are or IT challenges are. And interestingly, the backup, recovery, technologies like deduplication still ranks as one of the top 3 priorities. And this is interesting because if you look at backup and recovery, is probably as old as a technology is, as storage is. But still people are challenged by their current backup and recovery systems, and they are looking at better solutions to manage the new environment that the customers operate. Just to sort of step back and look at the current customer environment or the current business environment. At one side, you will see the data growth has been exponential. Just to give you an example, in 2009, the total amount of data that was generated across the world was 0.8 zettabyte. In 2020, that's expected to be 35 zettabyte, which is a 40x growth in terms of data that is being generated by organizations. At the other end, the customer's business environment has actually changed. If you look at, first of all, businesses are working longer. If you just look back 10 years back or 12 years back, traditional business would probably shut down their office at 6 p.m. in the evening, do the updates on their systems probably by 9 p.m. and after 9 p.m. they could start their backups. But today the businesses are working longer. So that is one sort of scenario. Second scenario is everybody is connected, which means everybody needs quick and fast response since everybody is connected. And third, everybody is secure. What it means for backup and recovery effectively means that today organizations have large amount of data, but their backup windows have reduced significantly. So you need to back up a significant amount of data in a very short backup window. If you look at an impact when a disaster strikes your data center and you're not able to recover the data, the impact is significant. It not only impacts your employees from a loss of productivity or be it loss of morale, it also impacts externally, and it impacts your customers' confidence in your business, your own corporate reputation. It could also impact a future business. And this were also findings from the Forrester survey that was done. And one of the reasons why this is probably there is because if you look at the business or the organization within a customer which sort of handles business and the traditional IT are sort of not on the same page. They're sort of misaligned in terms of what IT understands to be done and what business expects IT to be done. I think the important point in this slide is whenever you talk to an IT administrator, he would be focusing more on how my backups are running. But what exactly business is asking for is if a disaster hits, how long will it take for the entire system to recover? How quickly my data will be available? And if you sort of look deep into the reasons of why the misalignment happens, one of the key reasons is, if you look at organizations, they generate lots of data every day. And what most of the organizations do is they would typically find out one solution for data protection to fit in managing different types of data that the organization is generating. With this one solution approach, the challenge is you are trying to treat all data as equal, all applications as equal, and we are trying to force fit one solution for all the requirements that your organization has for data protection. From a Dell perspective, the approach is that an organization should classify their data. They should classify data into mission critical, which is absolutely important for their business. Second classification could be business critical. Third would be business important, and fourth would be archiving. Based on what is the data and how important is it to your business, you can design a data protection solution for each sets of data requirements, which ties in to the SLAs the business demands from that data and application. And now the other challenge that the IT faces is basically how much investment an IT should make in managing data protection or managing the risk of downtime. So if the organization requirements is that my recovery time should be very fast, my recovery point should be very low, the cost of the infrastructure that you would need from an IT perspective will be significantly high. If your RPO and RTO requirements are high, in that case, you might have a solution which will cost you low, but you are sort of open to an issue of longer downtime and a larger risk of losing data. From a Dell perspective, what we suggest is you first classify your data, design a solution or design data protection solution tying with your data requirements, which can drive optimal cost and also minimize your risk of data loss. From a Dell perspective, that's the reason we have multiple products, and products are positioned in line with what the organization requirements are, what are your SLA requirements are from a data protection side. We would propose a solution for that. From a data protection worldwide perspective, we have close to 83,000 customers, and we are sort of adding 3,300 net new customers every quarter. And most importantly, 60% of our customers are actually spending less than 2 hours managing the entire data backup and recovery process. So that means our solutions are much more easier to manage and less complicated to sort of manage your data protection requirements. We made 4 significant updates and releases worldwide. NetVault 10 and DR6000 is the most significant ones in terms of an update and release. It's a major release. Aperture and vRanger, the 2 other products, would be launched in Japan very soon. And all the major releases that I talked about in the last slide are actually based on customer input. And we sort of spend a lot of time listening to what our customers and partners are saying about our products. we try to incorporate all those inputs, which makes most important sense for customers in all our new releases. Just a quick summary. So if you look at the entire Dell portfolio, starting from the storage, servers, the backup software that we have, the deduplication appliances that we have, based on what the customers are looking for, based on what customers' data types are, based on what customers' RPO and RTO requirements are, we can propose a solution. And if an organization has a large-scale deployment, that means they have a significant amount of data that they need to be backed up in an optimized backup window, our two solutions, which is NetFold and DR, can give you a backup speeds of 22 terabytes per hour to optimize those data to be backed up in those windows. Thank you.